intelligence was kind of shaky. We had been told that, I don't know if they still have it, but in the latter part of May, the governor used to every year come to the campus for a special ceremony. And we had been told that that Governor Evans, Dan Evans, who's still alive, by the way, he was the governor of Washington State at that time. And we were told that he would be on campus meeting with the president. And we said, to really dramatize the issues we're faced with, let's keep both of these cats in Dr. Odegaard's office until our demands are met. Because time is running out. School will be out at the end of May. And man, we don't want to go all summer and not have our demands met. That's crazy. Plus, we told these cats that we wanted this to be done by the end of this school year. So E.J. Brisker, our president at that time, called Dr. Odegaard, didn't tell him we were going to sit in, just said by the 18th, we want, and this shows you the low level of our economic analysis. We thought $50,000 was a lot of money. So we were kicking around how much money we should demand that the president of the university put in our bank, and we thought he'd put it in our bank account. So we wanted, thinking about black power and black independence, we were going to we were going to hire our own black studies teacher. We were going to use this money to recruit black and other minority and low-income white students. We were going to do everything. We were going to get everything started with $50,000 in our mind. So he called Dr. Odegaard, and Dr. Odegaard did come to the phone, and this was in early May, I believe, and he said, Dr. Odegaard, we're tired of y'all's half-stepping, and we want $50,000 put in the BSU account by May 18th, or else. And he was, Dr. Odegaard was trying to explain, this is a profound intellectual, esteemed gentleman and man. He probably thought you were crazy, but he would never call you crazy. See, if somebody come in my office, because I'm the chair of the budget committee for the county, it's talking about the county better put $50,000 in their account in 2 weeks. I would just tell them right now, you're crazy, it's not going to be done. And you need to see a doctor. That's me, though. See, that's me. But Dr. Odegaard wasn't like that. Sir, EJ, we can't just take public money and put it in a student account. We can't. No, motherfucker. Put the money in the account. And he hung up. And then EJ said, oh, shoot, I forgot to give him our bank account number, and called him back and left the number with the secretary. 8245678, whatever that. We were kind of crazy. I know they thought that, but that's what happened. So we said, if it's not done in 18, what are we going to do? And we decided that because the president, the governor would be there, we would keep both of them. And then we actually talked about the fact this is some serious stuff. Taking the governor and the president of the university against their will and tell them they're not going anywhere until our demands are met. So we kicked it around, this could mean time in jail, this could mean a big battle with the police. It's only 15, it was really only 15 black students out of the 63 on the campus that were real active in the Black Student Union, and probably only 20 students that would take the risk of being kicked out of school, going to jail, getting hurt, or whatever else could happen as a result of taking over an administration building. This is where, though, our work with the youth in the community really paid dividends for the University of Washington Black Student Union at that time. When we told the students at Garfield and Franklin and Cleveland that we're going to have a sit-in and we need y'all's help, will you come out there? They enthusiastically said what time, where, and we'll be there. Then we went to the Black Panther Party and said, will y'all join us? And they just said, what time and where? We glad you college students are doing something. We're down for that. So they came. they made commitments. But it was still nerve-wracking because this is serious, saying the president and the governor is not going anywhere. And we kicked around about whether or not we should extend that. And then this is a really historic thing, and this guy lives back in Seattle now. Gordon D. Whitty is his name. He was a blind member of the Black Student Union. You know, he knew how to cut his button, go to all his classes, you know. But he had this severe handicap of being born blind. And he was sitting in the BSU meeting with his white cane. And then he stood up and said, "Man, I've been listening to y'all. This is crazy. I'm blind and I can see better than any of you, that we have no choice." We told the guy Friday, May 19th, Thursday, May 18th, on the 19th, we got to go there. And if none of y'all are going, I'm going to take my behind over there to the president's office at the time we're talking about. Then he sat down. There was no more discussion about not doing it. How are you going to follow that? Gordon D. Whitty said, "We're going." And we went, and we told all the other black youth. I think Dr. Odegaard went to his grave wondering where all those black students came from. And the truth is that the majority of those that sat in were not University of Washington students, because we had 150 people. We didn't even have 70 people on the campus who were of African American descent. But it really helped that we had all these other youth that were willing to participate with us. And it really, board ended up well for us in that the governor was not there. Instead, he was meeting with a 12-member faculty senate, all males. You know, that says something about female representation at the University of Washington at that time. Conceptually, nobody would have gone for women being faculty leaders at that time. That was to come later. So these 12 men plus Dr. Odegaard, we ran into the office, and they didn't, you know, we said the BSU is going to be here. E.J. Brisker was our spokesperson until these demands are met. And we sat down. We didn't care what they were talking about at that meeting. We changed the topic to the Black Student Union. And some of the professors in there were fairly progressive, and they actually contributed positively to the outcome. And we hammered out an agreement that the University of Washington would make a commitment to all 5 of our demands. Dr. Odegaard signed it, and E.J. Brisker signed it on that fateful afternoon. In the meanwhile, during that 4 hours, though, the Seattle police en masse had come to Husky Stadium parking lot, and the deputy prosecuting attorney, I'll never forget it because I saw his face when we left the sit-in. And I'm trying to think of his name. His name escapes me right now, but the deputy prosecuting attorney at that time came out there crying, begging the school administrators to please arrest these people because I want them in jail. Neil Schulman was his name. Neil Schulman, never forget it, crying. He wanted us in jail so bad, and the police were out there. But we signed off, and we left the office, and we had a little chant that we said at that time: "Beep, beep, bang, bang, Ungawa, Black Power," over and over. It was powerful, and it really inspired us. But the historical manifestations of that sit-in were that the University of Washington immediately set up a special education program in June of '68, start recruiting black and other minority and low-income white students for the fall of 1968. Both of y'all are been students at the UW, and you know that everybody's already let in by February, March, much less beginning in June to enter that fall. That was unheard of. Everything changed as a result of that sit-in. By the fall of 1968, the University of Washington let in twice as many minority students as it is, black students as it had ever had, 127. New black students were allowed, another 30 to 40 Latino students, 20 low-income Asian students, 18 Native Americans, and about 20 low-income white students became the first class that were affirmatively allowed to enter the university in the fall of 1968. Now contrast that 127 black students in the fall of '68, and we didn't even begin recruiting until June, with the fact that only 88 black students were allowed into the University of Washington in the fall of 2004. See how things occur? And it also led to the creation of a Black Studies program, now Ethnic Studies. It also led to the building of the Learning Resource Center over there on 40th in Brooklyn, and connected to it the Ethnic Cultural Center, the Ethnic Cultural Theater, and across the street from it, the Ethnic Cultural Center that has a black, Latino, Asian, and Native American room, and a pretty nice third world library. All that was our demands. All those, we said we needed structures that students could socially and culturally feel comfortable with and help keep them on campus. That's what that center still does to this day. That Learning Resource Center helps academically. That theater allows youth of color who are into poetry, drama, singing, music to have a place that gives priority attention to their development. All that came out of the sit-in. I had the pleasure of going to the 25th anniversary of the Education Opportunity Program in 1995. And at that, the Vice President for Minority Affairs told us that 49,000 people of color between 1970 and 1995 had graduated from the University of Washington, 55% of whom would not have entered the university had it not been for the existence of the Education Opportunity Program. That is the legacy of the sit-in of the, organized by the Black Student Union in May of '68.